Today, on YouTube, you don't have to look very hard to find some sort of alternate reality game, unfiction project, or analog horror series. For better or worse, spurred on by, well, in part, people like me who talk about these things, the number of channels making content like this has proliferated greatly over the past few years. The free tools available and general interest people have in this genre make creating these things very accessible and attractive for talent on YouTube, and honestly, in my opinion, that's pretty fun. Not everything is perfect, but every once in a while you find something that might just pique your curiosity, at least a little bit. That, my friends, is what happened with me a while ago when I came across this channel, which at the time of writing has just 226 subscribers. There's something I find fun about catching these channels really early on and finding videos that have so few views, sometimes even less than 100. This channel holds a bite-sized mystery for you to all look at with me today, and we're about to get started. Right before we do that, however, I want to thank you guys all for the massive amount of support you've shown me lately. And I especially want to thank those of you who subscribed recently, as we just surpassed 100,000 subscribers on the channel. That is no small feat, and it would not have been possible without you guys. I'll be making a special about that soon, including a Q&A. And if you'd like to ask me something, you can do so with the Google form I've linked in the description, or also by joining my Discord server and finding it in the announcements channel. That said, let's go ahead and begin. The channel we're going to be looking at today is called DOA, which I am almost positive stands for Dead on Arrival. Though that doesn't seem to have anything to do with the content itself. DOA is a musician. On his channel description, he presents a few hashtags which clue us in to the type of music he makes here. Hashtag Vaporwave, hashtag Signal Wave, hashtag Vaporwave Aesthetic, hashtag VHS Aesthetic. It looks like we're going to be listening to that sort of ambient vaporwave type music. You know, the stuff you might see in the background of a video or image from the backrooms, or something like that. I don't usually seek that stuff out, but I find it calming when I come across it. Anyway, beyond that, there's a little note about the music he's making. Let's go ahead and read that too. There is no monetization here. I'm just digging out old cuts on Dad's warped and falling apart blank cassettes. I don't even know what most tracks sampled on here are. I'll take down anything I'm asked to by YouTube rules. Just a humble little Plunderphonics lab. That's actually pretty straightforward. For anyone who doesn't know, Plunderphonics basically means just making music by sampling pre-existing works. This guy's just making music. And if we watch his first video containing his entire album, also titled DOA, we can confirm just that. I'll show a few tracks from this album, which was uploaded as a single video on YouTube. They're actually pretty catchy. The album cover is pretty cool, and I actually reverse image searched it and found that, though the background, statue, and name DOA were all edited in, this is actually a real building. This is the Dort Mall from Flint, Michigan. It's actually still around. Oddly enough, I think the idea of dying malls fit into the vaporwave aesthetic, but of course that doesn't matter too much though. There's a track list included, which is important for what comes next. Just a few days after uploading the album, DOA begins a pattern that we'll be following for the rest of this investigation. Uploading a music video for a track. This first one, titled Nightlight, actually has a sample of a tag from a radio station also in Flint, Michigan, leading me to believe this is maybe where the OP lives. Nothing's really up or out of the ordinary in the first video. It's just a short track and an intro for the album. The next track is pretty normal too. This one, titled Past Midnight, shows what I believe is a commercial for an old nightclub also in Flint, Michigan. But it's with the fourth upload that we start to encounter the sort of thing that I want to talk about today. I'm gonna just play this in full because it's less than a minute long and I want you to pay attention to the end. There's not really a jump scare, but it's sort of creepy in the last few seconds, so you've been warned. Out of context, that last clip is pretty creepy. I image searched this and found that it actually comes from a Smokey the Bear PSA, which is pretty funny. But basically, I have to ask, why the creepy shot at the end? It's not a coincidence. We're going to see more examples here soon. And beyond that, we also know that this is intentional and probably designed to capture your attention, because the last few seconds are an extended version of the song. The actual song from the album ends right in the middle of the sample voices speaking. I'll play them both for a comparison. Obviously, this is just a clip from an, albeit spooky, PSA, and when you learn the context of that full clip, it's not really weird at all. What is weird is its inclusion at the end of a Vaporwave/Signal Wave song. The next three videos are nothing like that last one. Drink and Taste, Acapulco, and Be Kind Rewind are all just normal songs. They're all paired with commercials or other videos from the 80s. One being a Japanese whiskey brand, another one from some sort of bikini shoot, and another being what I think is a clip from a show called Quark from 1977. The next upload, however, is a bit different. The visuals are clipped from an old Japanese commercial for what looks to me to be film, but I'm not entirely sure. Part of the track is backwards audio, which sort of makes the whole thing unsettling. But the final few seconds are extremely off-putting. Once again, this is a bit creepy, but not quite a jump scare. I'll quit giving warnings for these now because they're all sort of like this, but yeah, just give this ending a watch. This is a bit weird. For anyone curious, this end shot comes from the 1989 movie The Woman in Black. And the backwards voices aren't anything creepy, they're some sort of broadcast. I reversed the audio if you're curious, and I can't really isolate it from the scream, so it's still pretty hard to make out, but I can recognize a few words. and it's pretty clear that this is a radio or commercial tag of sorts. We can also specifically make out San Francisco. Have a quick listen to it.
Outer Space is produced in San Francisco by Stephen Hill and Anna Kenny. Funds for this series are provided by the Corporation for Public Broadcasting with the Satellite Program Development Fund of National Public Radio. Our satellite distribution is funded by a grant from the Institute of Noetic Sciences of San Francisco.
So once again, there's a somewhat normal Vaporwave track with an out-of-place creepy jump scare. This pattern is going to keep repeating itself. The next 4 videos are normal, either being a single commercial or a few stitched together, set to the track being showcased. When we get to the video titled WMSH67, we watch a sort of channel bumper, which ends like this. That frame, by the way, is from the 1997 Shining miniseries, based off the Stanley Kubrick film. The next upload is set to an anti-drug PSA, with nothing really out of the ordinary. 3 more normal uploads follow, including another bikini shoot. The next upload is probably the weirdest in the entirety of this channel. The commercial here looks to me to be some sort of lingerie shop, maybe. At the end of the video, I was waiting for my creepy frame, and I got absolutely flashbanged by something different. A massive fat dude, probably naked, with the name Bob Harwood written on top of it. Afterwards, we are treated to our regularly scheduled creepy frame, this one being a few seconds of that same bathtub scene from the Shining TV show. Now, who on earth this is, I don't know. I can't find that name anywhere else unless we're talking about this Navy Admiral, and I didn't get any results when I reverse image searched it. Now, under no circumstances am I going to Google fat naked men on any device that has any relation to me whatsoever, so we're going to bury this lead where it is for the time being. The next video is a bit different. Instead of a PSA or commercial, we see a clip from the 1987 movie Fatal Attraction. After that, there are 2 more normal uploads with a commercial and gameplay from an old Batman game, respectively. But after that, when we make our way to the video titled Neon Waters, there's once again another frame from The Shining, this time of the 2 twin girls. The next video is normal, but in the following, there's another slight change to the pattern. For this one, I'm just going to show the end of it. This is a clip of the unrated and absolutely hilariously terrible movie called Reflections of Evil. And we'll actually see more clips of this film in an upcoming video. Now, I thought this clip was edited because, look at it, but for whatever reason, this weird facial effect is actually from the movie. The full thing, by the way, is on YouTube. We're about halfway through the videos, and I'm going to keep pointing out the weird ones before we start theorizing, but I do want to take a second and point out that thus far, I really see no thematic connection between any of these clips and the music itself. It's apparent that this guy is getting these videos from old, scary movies, generally bad ones, and occasionally uses clips from the same movie or show once or twice, but why? Why on earth is he, at random, inserting clips like this into his music videos, with no apparent rhyme or reason? Let's keep going deeper and see if we can find out why. The next video, called For Dan Bell, ends with a clip from the TV show Twin Peaks. It's an absolutely blood-curdling scream. I'm gonna go ahead and show it. Now, for anyone curious, we can easily once again confirm that this bit is edited to the end of the track and does not show up in the original audio from that first upload. So once again, why do we see it here? In fact, why do we see any of this stuff here? Also, for anyone curious, Dan Bell is a filmmaker and YouTuber who, amongst other things, specialized in dead malls. He's also been to the Dort Mall, for what it's worth. Also, now is a good time to point out that the video uploads are now not perfectly correlated to the original album. For example, there's a song on the album called Rollerblades that isn't actually on the channel in another spot. Anyway. The next video's thumbnail should give a clue that this one is going to be weird. And in fact, all of the visuals once again come from that movie Reflections of Evil. I'm not sure if that makes this one normal or creepy, but it is what it is. The next 6 videos are untitled and are generally pretty normal. Like I said, they're untitled, and instead of a video, there's just a single image for the entirety of the upload. We do see one that's clearly edited to say DOA Mall, but other than that, I'm not sure if there's anything consequential here. The art is pretty good in my opinion, so is the music. I did notice one detail. That screaming scene from Twin Peaks can be watched on YouTube, and I watched a little bit more of it, going further than what showed up in DOA's video. And I made a little connection. Look right here, when this guy runs away from the woman into this hallway. And, well, it's pretty clear that this thumbnail is an edited version of that exact same spot. I'm willing to bet those other purple thumbnails are frames from the show as well. It looks like Twin Peaks actually shows up in a lot of Vaporwave art for some reason. We get another titled video, which is normal, and then at the time of recording, 10 more videos, all of which are untitled. The first one of these untitled ones ends in like a zombie picture. The next 3 are normal, but the fourth, which I'll just play, ends with a frame from the Pet Sematary movie. The following video switches from a static frame to a clip of an anti-alcohol PSA. And then there appears to be another shift. I think these presently 4 videos are part of what's sort of like a Halloween special. With the exception of a few inserted frames, they're Halloween pixel art, and they have a different vibe than the other videos, although I can't exactly articulate why. But they seem to not be connected to the rest of the content we've seen. Anyway, that's where the coverage of these videos, at least for right now, ends. At the moment, I have no deep explanation for what's going on here. I want to look at a few more details, and then I'll propose a few explanations for what exactly this is. First off, let's see if we can glean any sort of world building or clues or whatnot from the comments, video descriptions, and really anything else. Most of these videos have so few views that no one's actually commented, and the video descriptions really only reference the tracks themselves, and not much else. One thing I have noticed in 2 or 3 different comments is DOA referring to themselves as we. I'm unsure if that's meaningful, but it could indicate that 2 or 3 people are behind this project. We also see that his handle is DOA Mall, so it could just be that in terms of this project, they're presenting themselves as the mall itself, in line with the Vaporwave and 80s theme. They have a few posts, but these don't give us much to work with. Just a few thank you for subscriber messages, a note about Kelly Kapowski, and video announcements. There is, however, a link to an Instagram page. This is super helpful. Here we can see that it's actually a single guy, and he's also not like a kid. A few posts on here really caught my eye. In a couple of posts, he mentions creating Adult Swim bumpers that made it to the website in the late 2000s. Broadly, we can confirm that this guy is a big Vaporwave fan. However, we're not closer to learning why these frames pop up the way that they do. One comment on the most recent videos stands out. Someone asks him about collaborating, and he replies with this. Thanks, Mr. E. I'm not a composer, just a plunderphonics guy digging through a collection of blank, not labeled cassette tapes that are falling apart, hunting vapor gold. Would be happy to check out your groove though if it's out there. Then there's this comment. Thanks, CS. I'm sorry that this stuff is all coming from blank cassette tapes from the 80s. I don't have it tagged. Apparently, according to him, he is sorting through old cassettes. Maybe that's where he's getting all the samples for his music, I guess. In another comment, he says this. Yes, I don't get tired of those subgenres. My favorite aspect of it is finding somewhat forgotten music and audio, dusting off forgotten works. I'm no producer, just someone with old blank cassette tapes and VHS lying around, thanks to parents. So now we have cassettes and VHS tapes. I'm not inclined to believe that, though. Like, if you were digging through a random box of old VHS tapes, you certainly might have all these commercials, but you definitely wouldn't have those spliced horror movie clips. There were obviously some intentional design choices made. These aren't just uploads with random VHS tapes stored in a cardboard box in your garage. I don't buy that. Someone comments about the Black Lodge being creepy, and DOA replies with a little anecdote. I saw the lodge when I was 5 or 6 when it aired. I was so scared of the backward-talking little person in the red suit, and then especially Laura Palmer looking like a zombie, screaming her head off. Of course, who could forget the most frightening of all for a 5-year-old? The lovable Bob. Like I said, the Twin Peaks TV show sort of has a connection to Vaporwave, insofar as there's some edited Vaporwave art using still frames from the show. Part of Vaporwave is its intrinsic connection to pictures or short videos, and I feel like to really understand the vibe, you have to both see and hear at the same time. But lots of those images, for whatever reason, come from Twin Peaks, especially the Black Lodge, which is this location we see here. Why it's at the end of just one video, I still have no clue. Another time, DOA mentions that these tapes and visuals were recorded by his parents in the Midwest. That's interesting because in that one piece of audio that I played backwards earlier, you can pretty easily hear San Francisco. Not saying that completely rules out the audio being broadcast in the Midwest, but it's at least a bit weird. Everything else seems to take place in Flint, Michigan, though, which obviously would be the Midwest, so I'm not really sure what to make of that specific remark. And again, if you keep looking through the comments, you'll find more and more instances of the creator reiterating that these are just videos taken from random tapes. Honestly, I am struggling to come up with an explanation for this. I'll be the first to admit that I'm not insanely well versed in Vaporwave culture, but I know enough to say that these stills and clips just don't fit. I wish I had better answers to give, but these just gnaw at me. I don't know why. It might just be one of those oddities on YouTube that for a while will go unresolved. The main theory that I'll throw out, and this might be something you've thought of, is that this might just be a shot for publicity. I hope it isn't, because if it is, I myself am playing right into the hand of the creator, and I don't really want to showcase projects that are just intentionally trying and get seen, but yeah. It might just be that this guy is hoping to be mysterious enough to get people to look at his channel and listen to his music. That's one theory, but even that doesn't sit super well with me. I don't think DOA is trying anything cheap to get views. It seems like they really enjoy making music, and do so just for the fun of it. But there's not anything thematic we can easily glean from the material we have. The jump scares, if you can call them that because they're not even really screamers, are just strange, out-of-place clips, and don't connect to any overarching story or themselves. The series does touch on themes like nostalgia and decay. There are references to nostalgia, and even though the channel's namesake is based off a mall which does still exist, it's a very much dead mall. And he references Dan Bell, who also portrays dead malls. So there's at least some degree of connection to things closing down and people moving on. Again, that's something that's intrinsically tied to Vaporwave as well, so It might not necessarily mean anything, but it could be that the clips have some connection to that idea. The weird frames tend to show decayed people, hags, zombies, and this putrid character from The Shining. It's possible that the creator is trying to make a point with this sort of portrayal, but I'm at a loss for what it might be. I'll keep this channel on my radar, and you can too, and maybe in the future we will hopefully see what, if anything, this stuff is all about. I might have just honestly fallen for a massive shitpost here, but who knows? I hate to leave you guys with an unfinished and not perfectly theorized mystery here, but I am curious to see what you guys think. Anyone who's more familiar with Vaporwave aesthetics should absolutely comment on this video and let me know your own thoughts, if you have any at all. I, for one, will keep an eye on this mysterious channel and see if anything else pops up. Maybe it's nothing, but if it isn't, I'll be the first to show you guys. Thanks for stopping by for this quick video today. If you enjoyed, make sure to subscribe and also stay tuned for a Halloween special next week. It's going to be something very different, but I'm super excited to post it. It's a video I've been thinking about for a while. That said, if you really want to support Seed Butter, you should consider joining my Patreon. Members are thanked at the end of every video and also enjoy uploads at least a day before everyone else. Also, if you want to see more of me, consider subbing to my second channel and join my Discord if you're interested in talking about uploads and suggesting future topics. I hope you enjoyed this micro-investigation today, and I hope it interested you like it did me. Can't wait to see you guys soon. Good night.